Hey everybody, Matt LaPlante here. Again, got another video for you. This one is called Burning Money. And the reason I called it Burning Money is because we're seeing a lot of inflation. And inflation essentially is burning the value of the money that you hold, whether it's in a money market, savings account, checking account, or even just the cash that you have lying around. The value of that money is going down. So what you can actually purchase with that money is going down. And so in this video, I'm going to go over three different things. First, what is causing it? Second, where we're seeing it and the problems that it's causing. And last, but really the most important part, is what we can do in spite of it. How can we address it as an issue? So we're gonna go over those three things. Let's jump into what is causing it. So what is causing it is that essentially it's too much money is chasing too little stuff. So when we have a lot of money chasing a little bit of things, the price naturally has to go up because you have more people that are wanting that thing than can actually purchase it. So that's one of the reasons. So there's too much money that's out in the economy right now. So it's causing the cost of things to go up. And you can it's not hard to understand why. We've had a lot of stimulus that has come in to our economy through a whole variety of different ways, from the Federal Reserve printing money to we've had a lot of stimulus that has come in, whether it's through extra unemployment benefits or direct checks that were sent to people. While those may be good things, but at the end of the day, if we have too much money chasing too few goods, the cost is going to rise. And the other reason that we're going to probably continue to see this, and it's going to be a problem, is that we have a little bit of a push-pull and some issues between those who are wanting to buy things and those who are selling or making things. So those who are wanting to buy things, we have a lot more of those people, right? And they want to get it sooner than later. Because if I buy something today with, let's say, $100, it costs me $100 to get it. Well, the person who's selling it, if they're thinking, well, the cost of me making this thing is going to go up tomorrow or next week or whatever, I don't want to sell it to you today. I want to sell it to you tomorrow at the higher price. You have these two competing interests. The consumer wants it now. The person who's making it wants to give it to you as late as possible because they make more money off of that. On top of that, we're seeing some labor shortages in certain areas of the economy. So as a result, in order to get those people to come back into the workplace, to get them to come into work, they're having to pay them more money. So if I have to pay more money to actually make the stuff, I have to pay more money to have the people come in to put it together. That's going to cause the cost to rise. So we're probably going to continue to see those costs go up. But let's jump into some other areas of where we're seeing it and what we can do to address it. All right, so let's start looking at where we're actually seeing it. I shared this little infographic on my Facebook business page and LinkedIn. So for those of you who saw that, probably have already seen this, but this would be a little bit of a refresher. So this is where we're starting to see it. If you've been purchasing food over the past probably 6 months or so, you've probably seen your food prices go up. You've probably seen your cost for energy. So like filling up the gas tank in your car, that's probably gone up. And we're seeing it also, last but not least, is in this area. This is a good visual representation of where we're seeing the inflation really hit. And this is looking at if you were to buy $50,000 worth of lumber just roughly a year ago, they could have built a little over 10 homes with that amount of lumber, versus now you can build about a little over 2. And so that is really impacting people's ability to purchase a home. Because if you want to, we already have a low supply of homes, and now in order to build a home that was just like the one that you may see at your next door neighbor, it's going to cost significantly more. That's a lot. As you can see right here, the price of lumber has increased about 377% over the course of a year. Now that's a lot. And so what we're likely going to continue to see is lumber prices, the cost of the things that go into making things are going to continue to go up. We're seeing it in copper, We're seeing it in a lot of things that are related to the home building sector. As I said before, we're seeing it in food. But as the stuff that goes into making what we want to purchase goes up, eventually the costs of those things are going to start rising. We haven't seen that a ton. So like if you go out and buy a TV or anything else, we haven't seen that go up a ton, but we could continue to see that rise. So that's where we're seeing it. We're seeing it specifically in food, energy, and lumber, and like some of the inputs of things that we're making. So that's something we want to keep an eye on, because I think it's going to continue. But the most important thing I want to discuss really is how do we address it? And so for those of you who have been with me for a while or been following me for a while, the train station is a staple, and we're going to just jump right into it. And so if you look at the train station, what we're seeing essentially is when you have inflation, see the cash destination here, this money is essentially going down. So it's being worth less and less because you can buy less and less of the things that you want. So people don't want to have that happen. So as a result, money is starting to leave the cash bucket. And we've seen over the past year or so, some of that money has been coming down here into the real estate sector. But in particular, there's a line I like to draw here, and everything on the right side of the line, everything on the side with the managed futures, commodities, and real estate, those are tangible, real assets. So those are things that are typically going to increase in price or increase in value as inflation rises. So naturally, the money that has been sitting in cash, or maybe even in stocks to some degree, is moving to this area. So there's going to be a process that happens as we go through inflation. And this is the general process that I believe we're going to see, because it's typically what happens in inflationary environments. So money will probably leave the cash destination, start coming down here to the real estate destination, as we've already seen. It'll also come to the commodities, as we talked about before. Things like lumber, that is commodities. Energy, that's a commodity, and so on. Now, the part that people don't recognize is this next step. So in order to deal with this rising costs, the Federal Reserve does something to try to mitigate that, which is pull money out of the system, pull money out of the train station or our economy. And the way they do that is by raising interest rates, okay? So interest rates were probably going to start going up in the near-term future, I believe, so that they can combat this inflation. I think there's a good chance that we're going to see that. Now, if that happens, we will likely see bonds do poorly. And some of you may say, why would that be the case? Why would bonds do poorly? Well, the way that bonds work is it's on this teeter-totter. If the interest rates go up, the value of those bonds typically go down. Because think of it, if I can get a bond that pays me 2% right now, do I want to hold that bond now, or do I want to wait till the one that's going to give me 3% later? So you will likely see, as inflation goes up and they try to combat that, push interest rates up, money is going to leave bonds. So the next step it will likely come is here to the equity market, because think of it this way. All the money that's come to the real goods, these companies are selling those real goods. They're going to have a realized extra profit. They're going to be making a little bit more money, and so the stocks will probably rise in turn. And then ultimately, the last step is kind of the equalization. Everything kind of goes back to normal, and that interest rates kind of top out, and then people start coming back over here into bonds and start purchasing bonds again. And it can start coming back to cash because they're not worried about the inflation anymore. So that's the general kind of flow that we're going to see. I believe we're going to see funds take as inflation rises, and we've already seen it to some degree. So let's keep that in mind and just remember where we're at in that process. Because if you have a lot of money just sitting in cash, CDs, and money markets and things like that, I believe that there is going to be inflation is going to be a little bit higher than what we've seen really over the past probably 10 years or so. Doesn't mean I don't think it's necessarily going to get out of hand and just be high, and we'll see these interest rates like it was back in the 80s and 15 to 20% to get a mortgage kind of thing. Nothing like that. But I do think it's going to be higher. So the most important thing is just understanding where those funds are going to flow so that you can invest accordingly. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks. I'll see you guys next time.